I was going to make this video about low-fuel motorsports impact in Assetto Corsa Competizione player numbers, but after the news coming in the last few weeks, there needs to be a little bit of a pivot in L plan for this video, and we should talk about why ACC needs to change a bit. We're gonna start with a bit of background. When Competizione was under beta and through its development cycle, I had a huge pet peeve with the word Competizione in the title, but I had mainly an issue about the matchmaking system they were talking about when the game was being released. I've always argued, unsuccessfully, and I was often mocked and scorned about it, that ACC needed a system similar to iRacing. The format of which didn't really need to be a copy, as there was already something in the old Assetto Corsa that did pick up matchmaking, that was sim racing system. Just like iRacing, it really didn't need to be a copy of that one, but there was already something with a proper realized structure, and Kunos with Assetto Corsa Competizione, I thought, could have something like that. My position back then, as it is now, is that Assetto Corsa Competizione has a hugely unrealized stock competitive multiplayer experience, even with the launch of the in-house competitive mode. The reasons for my opinion are many, like Kuno sitting on a pile of gold with the SRO license, the popularity of GT3 racing both online and offline, and so on. Imagine if Kunos/SRO did the SRO events, more on this later, with a proper qualify system done in-game, available for everyone. I am daydreaming here, but I think you can get the picture. So, some saw the chance here with the unrealized potential and created themselves a third-party system that somewhat fixed that gap. First, David Perel's SimGrid, and now we have low-fuel motorsports as the basically big beacon in daily racing for Assetto Corsa Competizione. It is so much so that in June, ACC has seen a 15% drop in average players and around 2,000 less peak players. In comparison to the same time last year, June saw a loss of 5% of average players, but the peak players increased 1,500, not decreased. LFM is indeed really important to ACC, and it shows that there is still a huge untapped potential there. If a third-party asset can make this big of an impact, imagine what impact could be if Kunos did it themselves. Imagine that with the context that ACC is now the official FIA Motorsports game title, something that just before was with the behemoth that is Gran Turismo. This is another great piece of news. FIA changed the title running their motorsports games events to ACC. Now, a lot of eyes will be upon ACC, including ones that were running Gran Turismo before. If Competizione got the FIA event because Polyphony Digital stopped paying, or because they dropped the ball, or because Kunos deserves it more, it ends up being a trivial point, something that will likely be discussed and beaten to death by fanboys and gatekeepers alike. Do that in the comments of this video to bring interaction. Thank you so much. Fact of the matter is, ACC as the FIA Motorsports event, it is a great sim racing title, one of the best ever done, and it is the apex GT class simulation in my opinion. I believe with this great piece of news, that is my opinion, totally deserved, ACC should be even more popular. And just this week, we're gonna have the USA DLC that could even bring more sim racers interest, as currently the main core is definitely in Europe. And oh man, I'm really looking for that DLC. If Kuno's track record, get it, is to go anything by, it really should kick ass. Well, it all seems to be good news thus far, so why this video's topic? Well, for the next point. Assetto Corsa Competizione has been under increasing attacks for the last couple of months or so. In the last few weeks, mainly, we have seen some high-profile events being attacked by distributed denial of service attacks, and one of those DDoS attacks was done on one of the biggest ACC events ever, the GT World Challenge 24 Hours of Spa. We're talking here about the esport event of the title holder. It's just not any other community, it's the game sponsor. It's the title holder that ACC was modeled for. GT World Challenge and many other communities have been targeted by these DDoS attacks, and it's been constantly getting worse. RCI has been impacted, JRDH League, and many others as well. The back servers have been down a few times, so it has been quite a large and consistent attack to the title. Kunos is often mentioned to be a small company, which is really true in the larger scope of game developers. It has a small team compared to other companies, so there are limits of what can be done. We have to be realistic about it. Though, here's the thing. Kunos holds the SRO license and is holding a high-profile FIA event that will happen later this year. Kunos cannot stick to the small company thinking, and at the very least really needs to step up their infrastructure. It kind of seems to me, and I could be wrong here, that Kunos was kind of lulled into a sense of security while it was popular, but not popular enough to need countermeasures to these types of attacks. Were popular enough, but not popular enough to have a community that demanded that the sim needed to change to have something a little more coherent. However, with the sim that is increasingly more popular, it will have more visibility with this new FIA event. New types of users will also come, including ones that want a software that is more integrated and doesn't really need a web browser to get a decent competitive matchmaking and has events done through the software. Okay, surely the last point is me trying to inject my thing. My point is, Kunos has been in a position for many years where some critical shortcomings of their games were somewhat ignored because we think of them as a small company. It's not just about these outages. For example, the console version of the game had huge issues for months. This position of a small dev could have been true in the past. Now, it is my opinion that they really need to step up more and get out of that small dev kind of thinking, as it could be detrimental for them in the future. It is also my opinion that the sim racing community should be a little bit less lenient of major issues or lack of scope. Understanding, yes, always, but free passes, well, we are still paying customers. I really think that saying that they are a small dev can only hold so much water. As a sim, ACC is excellent. I really hope Kunos fixes the critical servers issues really soon, as FIA could really take the sim to the next level.